We be talking, man. Canelo a big dude, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I believe in my abilities. He's not he's a heavy dude, but he's not a big guy. Like he's 5'8".
It has now been announced by Turki Al himself that the Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford fight will be happening in what will be the biggest fight of the year. First, it's a fight that bears in itself a great risk to both fighters' boxing reputations, especially that of Terence Crawford, who has never been defeated in the boxing ring. Many have highlighted the size difference as the big decider of the fight outcome.
No disrespect him, but sometimes it's a little crazy the people talking about.
Well, we thought so too until we brought their boxing skills side by side in comparison to their records, opponents' strengths and weaknesses, and boxing styles. Then we saw the fight is way more competitive than many had thought. In fact, it's such an open match that both sides stand almost an equal chance of winning, and you'll know why this is being said. But before that, here's something that almost changed the entire story completely.
I'm 5'8", you know what I mean? My arm's longer than his, you know?
As of February 5th, all signs led to Saul Canelo Alvarez getting in the ring against Jake Paul for a massive fight that would take place in May 2025. However, in the 11th hour before Canelo put pen to paper to fight Paul, Turki Al came in and offered Canelo a four-fight deal that he clearly couldn't refuse, so Canelo ditched the Paul fight and instead agreed to the Al contract, which means he'll likely be fighting Terence Crawford in September. In the aftermath of this decision, Jake Paul put Canelo on blast with a post on X that read,
A small fighter like Charlo, he's big, which he is big, and everybody's talking about if I'm gonna face Crawford.
Breaking news: Canelo Alvarez ducked Jake Paul and is now an own slave with no regard for the pride of the Mexican people who back him on US soil. It's not surprising when his whole career he has done nothing for the sport of boxing outside the gym. I'm the new face of fighting. You cannot have the biggest fight of 2025 without my name involved. When all of your events tank and lose money, you will all understand who the king of the sport is. 28 years old, the biggest fight in boxing history, my own boss. Not owned 5 years, and all of you felines want to see me fail. But God has other plans. It's the era of good, the era of the elephant, and the era of MVP. It didn't take Canelo long to fire back at Paul as Ring Magazine shared a video of Canelo addressing Paul directly on X.
Hey guys, don't pay attention in anything. In this fucking YouTuber. I just fight real fighters.
Clearly, Canelo Alvarez is once again at the heart of controversy after confirming a deal with Turki Al for fights under the Riyadh Season franchise. The news not only shook the boxing world but also provoked a strong response from Jake Paul, who wasted no time in taking a direct shot at the Mexican fighter. Jake Paul, the YouTuber turned boxer, criticized Alvarez's choice, alleging that the boxing superstar had become a slave to his new contract, thereby neglecting the pride of the Mexican people. Feeling the sting of Paul's words, Canelo responded quickly and decisively.
With Canelo. Come on, let's go.
This isn't the first time emotions have flared between the two. Over the past months, Canelo and Paul have traded heated words on social media, with Paul persistently challenging Alvarez and Saul dismissing him as an unworthy opponent. Their constant disputes have produced great anticipation of seeing them face each other in the ring, keeping fans on tenterhooks. Although now with these last words from Alvarez, the chance to see them face to face is fading. In a recent video shared by the Ring Magazine, Canelo didn't mince words regarding Paul. Hey, guys, don't pay attention to anything this crazy YouTuber says.
Canelo, you puta.
In this YouTuber, I just fight real fighters.
Time to expose them. So we had a signed contract to fight. Here you can see Canelo's signature and my signature to the right, claiming he's not fighting YouTubers. Bullshit.
Jake Paul then punched back at Canelo Alvarez on Friday night, a day after the Mexican boxing icon passed up a rumored bout with the YouTube star and agreed to a four-fight deal with Riyadh Season on social media. Paul said the truth is you could be bought. You're a money-hungry squirrel chasing your next nut. Don't expect a fight between Jake Paul and Canelo Alvarez anytime soon. Despite that, Most Valuable Productions, the boxing promoter business co-founded by Paul and Nikisa Baradaran, was deep in negotiations with Alvarez. The latter pulled out. The fight would have taken place on Cinco de Mayo weekend in Las Vegas and was supposed to land on Netflix, the home of Paul's widely watched fight with Mike Tyson.
The poster. We were announcing Tuesday, February 11th, claiming he fights real fighters, but he's fighting Crawford, a 135-pound fighter, and running from a real fighter like David Benavidez.
MVP works with integrity, transparency, and respect for the sport, its athletes, and the fans. Unfortunately, not everyone in the boxing world shares those ideals. A statement from MVP received by the rap read, "This situation is a warning not to believe everything you read, especially in the current media environment. It is often controlled by those with hidden agendas, including promoters who have reporters on their payroll." The company continues in discussions with multiple high-profile opponents.
Would you ever do like exhibitions like that, or like people like Jake Paul call you out, or these like other big stars? Like, is that business-wise like even worth it?
When I'm done with boxing, why not, man?
The change-up was announced by Turki Al-Sheikh, the head of Saudi Arabia's General Entertainment Authority. These future for fights will mark the first time Alvarez will fight in Saudi Arabia's capital, according to ESPN. Alvarez was told by boss Al-Sheikh that if he accepted his fight with Paul, his Riyadh season deal wouldn't happen. Canelo only fights real boxers, Al-Sheikh told ESPN.
Canelo in Riyadh in May, the big fight.
While the deal with Al-Sheikh guarantees astronomical paydays and consistent ring appearances, the worrying is whether these bouts will be truly challenging or just calculated matchups, meant to keep his legacy intact. Turki Al-Sheikh also joined in with a social media post expressing his excitement about the deal. "Don't mess with the cat. For fights for Canelo with our odd season. The deal is done. A lion doesn't lose sleep over the view of a sheep. Fear the lion, not the jungle." Many saw this as a subtle clapback at critics who doubt the level of opposition Canelo will face in this new phase of his career, while some think this deal will further solidify Canelo as boxing's biggest star. Others fear these fights will serve only to pad his reputation without presenting real challenges in the ring.
In the history of boxing, in September, then 2 more fights in 26.
What's obvious is that despite the detractors and Jake Paul's words, Canelo remains the biggest draw in boxing today. Now fans eagerly wait to see if the Mexican superstar will show once again why he is the king of the ring. For Terence Crawford, the road to a possible mega fight against Canelo Alvarez has been a roller coaster of highs and lows ever since his dominant knockout win over Errol Spence Jr. Crawford has set his sights on greatness, going up in weight to chase a showdown with Canelo Alvarez. However, the fight that seemed within reach was now hanging by a thread, with reports saying that the bout may no longer be happening.
Don't mess with the line.
While many fans had come to terms with the disappointment, Crawford himself stayed unwavering in his pursuit of history. Despite growing uncertainty, Crawford made it clear that he isn't giving up, responding to His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, the Riyadh season chairman, who has played a big role in organizing blockbuster fights. Crawford reaffirmed his intent. "I'm waiting on Canelo in September and going to shock the world in Riyadh season," he said. Al-Sheikh had previously posted a message about how true champions remain undeterred by criticism, a statement apparently aimed at both Canelo and Crawford, as their fight remains in limbo.
Maybe I do it. I think it's
Like when you're done like competing at the highest level, you're saying?
Yeah, I think it's good because what happened there is other people who
Crawford's confidence did not waver despite rumors that Canelo may be leaning toward an alternative opponent, most notably a rumored fight with Jake Paul. Recent reports say that Canelo and Jake Paul were close to finalizing a fight with ESPN's Mike Coppinger, describing it as being at the 1-yard line. The bout was rumored to be a Netflix-sponsored cruiserweight showdown, an event that would create massive financial interest but add little to Canelo's boxing legacy. However, at the last moment, news broke that Canelo had instead signed a multi-fight deal with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh.
never watch boxing, or they don't know anything about boxing. They wanna watch Jake Paul.
This agreement, beginning with a fight on Cinco de Mayo, also allegedly includes a potential September matchup against Crawford in Las Vegas. Mikey Garcia, who was the younger brother of Ring Magazine's Manager of the Year winner Robert Garcia, was one such skeptic. The former featherweight, super featherweight lightweight, and super lightweight Chan Chun told Fight Hub TV that he did not fully support to fight despite being one of the most desired by fans of the sport. "I'm not a big fan of that fight," Garcia said, to highlight the weight difference between the Mexican and the American and remembered how Crawford suffered against Israel Madrimov. after moving up to 150 for pounds in 3 categories.
Not even a fan of that fight. There are too many weight classes apart. And although the skills, Crawford is wrong.
Despite Crawford's seemingly superior skills, Garcia thinks that the size difference will be the deciding factor in a potential matchup. The Mexican fighter's speed and size will likely give him the edge. That's why I'm not a fan of that fight. I think Crawford has accomplished everything he had to accomplish from 140 to 147 and now 154. That's even bigger for him. Garcia added if Crawford really wants to push himself, he could go the way of an undisputed fight in his current division. He opined. However, there is a problem, but there's no money in that. Garcia acknowledged that a fight between Canelo and Crawford would generate substantial revenue, but as a fan of the fights, he is not in favor of the matchup. As he said, he would prefer to see Alvarez face fighters within his weight class or higher, such as Artur Beterbiev or rematch with Dimitri Bivol.
You know, fighting at 168, Crawford just moved up to 154, and he had some trouble with that in that fight. Now, where do you plan on going? 164, 65, 66? Yeah.
He wanted to challenge himself to go up to 175 again and challenge himself against those fighters and not a smaller guy going up in weight. Garcia stated, as the long-anticipated showdown between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez continues to ignite excitement and debate within the boxing community, even more boxing professionals are giving their contributions. Crawford, celebrated for his versatility and technical prowess, is hoping to move out to weight classes to challenge the undisputed super middleweight champion, a daring leap that has divided views among boxing experts.
Canelo ain't gonna come down to 160.
Yeah,
Canelo ain't gonna come down, you know, maybe 166 max if he accepts.
Yeah.
I think Canelo wins that fight based on just the size.
One notable voice weighing in is former heavyweight world champion Deontay Wilder. In a recent interview with S News, Wilder shared his worries about Crawford's significant weight jump from 147 to 168. That's way too much, Wilder stated. Although you can move from southpaw to orthodox, we are touching those guys that are heavier. It's a different feeling, it's like you're a baby. I'm not saying you can knock anyone out or punish them, but I think it takes more time going up in weight. The way punches are received is entirely different than with smaller opponents. Since Wilder's comments, Crawford has taken a step forward in closing the weight gap by capturing the World Boxing Association super welterweight title.
If they do, I'll be there. You know what I mean? That's going to be a good one. Both of them great guys. They got great talent. And both of them very determined. Got that killer instinct. And in this sport...
However, even with this success, a daunting 14-pound difference remains between him and Canelo Alvarez, a disparity that could play a crucial role in the fight's outcome. Canelo, known for his relentless punching power and stamina, has established himself as a dominant force in the super middleweight class. Despite suffering to career defeats, both by decision, he has constantly showcased remarkable defense and resilience, solidifying his status as one of the toughest competitors in boxing. This matchup promises to deliver an electrifying spectacle, but it also marks a monumental challenge for Crawford.
Named you and Terence Crawford as one of the top 5 fights that he wants to see this year. Is that a fight that you're considering now?
We'll see. We'll see. Everything is possible.
To succeed, the Omaha native must display extraordinary adaptability and resilience against an opponent of Canelo's level in a higher weight class, while Wilder's worries about the weight disparity are valid. The allure of this fight is hard to ignore, pitting two of boxing's elite talents against each other. This clash of styles and raw power has fans eagerly awaiting what could be one of the sport's most gripping events. It's surprising that Canelo Alvarez would already have a guaranteed opponent for 2025, not for the May date, but for his second fight of the year planned for September on the weekend, when the independence of Mexico celebrated in Las Vegas.
I don't think we've seen anything like Terence Crawford in all my years of boxing. I know that for a fact. I do study history. I've never seen anybody that has everything.
After much insistence, it seems that the work is bearing fruit for Terence Crawford and Sheikh Turki Alalshik, and the undefeated American fighter will be his opponent for the second fight in 2025. However, Saul Alvarez's acceptance to face Crawford will be quite expensive for the promoters, as the Mexican had already expected. Former WBO and WBC light welterweight champion Tim Bradley doesn't believe either of the two can stop the Bud train. Instead, he feels Crawford himself is the only man who can end his reign of terror over the sport. I think the only person that can beat Crawford is himself at this point. Bradley told Fight Hype recently that Madrimov is the champion and he must be recognized, but as far as skill for skill, Crawford all day. I think he'll do well against Canelo, I really do. Would I be nervous if they were to fight? Hell yeah, because Canelo can punch, and all it will take is one big punch. But as long as he uses his legs, his speed, and his defense to get out of the way, then he should be able to beat Canelo. Interestingly, Bradley thinks Crawford can outbox Canelo just like Floyd Mayweather Jr. did 11 years ago when he beat the Mexican star when he was 22 years old fighting at a catchweight in 2013.
Good speed, power, timing. Can switch the way he switches, to have the toughness, the meanness that he has, the way he finishes guys, the way he breaks down guys.
Crawford is about to turn 37, has never fought above 147, and would be coming up in weight without being tested at 168 by the top contenders. More fans would agree with Bradley if Crawford were interested in providing himself at 160 against the Killers and at 168 to show that he can hang. The fans perceive Crawford is in a hurry to get a huge payday against Canelo and a golden parachute so that he can live in luxury in his retirement years. Is the problem the fact that he fought against Jermall Charlo? Charlo comes in at 150 for said Tim Bradley. To Fight Hype reacting to Canelo Alvarez saying he's not interested in fighting welterweight Terence Crawford because there's nothing to gain from fighting him. Jermall moved up a couple of weight divisions to fight Canelo. He got in there and laid an egg. He just basically went to there and survived. He just felt like I'm not on Canelo's level, but the difference is the mentality of Crawford. He's a top pound for pound guy, said Bradley. Well, we don't know if Crawford will be any different from Jermall Charlo because he's not volunteering to try himself against some of the top super middleweights to give fans a reference point
that I've ever seen in the ring, right up there with Floyd Mayweather. So yeah, I would pick Terence Crawford to beat a Canelo Alvarez, even at 168. Crazy and whatever you want to say, I get it. Y'all didn't believe me when I told you about Spence, but trust me, Crawford will figure out a way.
If Crawford chose to prove himself against David Benavidez or David Morrell, you could feel confident that he just showed up for the payday against Canelo without trying to win. Since Crawford has no plan of fighting anyone at 168 before fighting Canelo, you can only assume this is about money and nothing else. Charlo was never a top pound for pound guy. The skill set of Crawford is what he brings, said Bradley. He's a fighter, man. And he's been after Canelo. He wants to fight Canelo, and I think he'll do well against Canelo. I really do.
Which I don't know, and I ain't gonna tell you why I would pick Terence Crawford, but it's part of the secret, is the reason why I'm picking him to win the fight. So,
is it like a skill set? Is it like a preparation thing, or?
Nope, I'm not.
Now am I worried about the fight? If they fight, heck yeah, because Canelo can punch. That dude can hit, and all it takes is one. He hits a guy like Terence one time who's coming up 3 weight classes to be able to face him. However, just like we saw with Floyd Mayweather, he was able to outbox him in 2013 when Canelo was 22 years old and was able to outthink him. Bradley uses Mayweather as an example to justify his case that Crawford can give up huge size against Canelo and beat him, but we really don't know if that holds water. Canelo fought welterweight Mayweather at 154. It wasn't a case where Mayweather moved up to 168 and fought a prime version of Canelo, who was at full strength, but Bradley had more evidence in support of Crawford. I think Crawford has that ability to outbox him, outthink him, make him miss, and make him pay, said Bradley, as long as he's not getting too many of them, and using his legs and his athleticism and his defense to get out of the way, should be able to beat Canelo.
Once he touches Canelo, because he's been hit by bigger guys, he's not gonna, I don't want to say show him respect, but he's gonna be able to get, okay, I could walk through this, I could take a little risk and set up my traps, cut the ring off, dig to the body, and wear Terence down over the rounds.
I'm just gonna tell you like this.
Planning forward, Canelo's got a good jab, good speed, and throws a lot of hooks. Crawford just gets away from all of those and gets underneath them. He should be able to beat Canelo. We're basing it on what Charlo was able to do. Charlo didn't do anything. He was scared. He didn't want to get knocked out. I don't blame him. He didn't want to end up on a sign. I understand that, but you said you wanted to be great. You weren't great that night. Crawford is daring to be great, and I think he can do it, said Bradley. And that's all for now. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay linked with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to turn on notifications to get notified when we drop quality content like this. Until next time, peace out.